Now I want to get some velocity from this as well. Let me just drop a time blend to this. I'm just thinking, since we've got animation here and we start, if we want to add sub-steps, we'll want you know, that information between frames. So I'll put that just before the pyro source, I think is where we need it, or before the, actually, yeah, we'll leave it here. So I want to look at getting velocity from the original helicopter here, right? So I'm just going to drop a null off to the side here. And I believe we should have velocity already. Let's see. There we go. Yeah, so we got velocity on there, ready to go. So the way, you know, we want to get that into our simulation. So I'm just going to copy this across this pyro source, right? There we go. And basically, I just want the points here. Actually, all of these don't really matter. They won't be used by, you know, what I'm doing. It's more, I just need points to put velocity onto, right? So I'm going to drop an attribute transfer, because now on here we won't have that velocity. It's not picking up the velocity from the geometry, right? So we need to just grab that back over. If we turn on the visualization, oh, is that doing it automatically? Yeah, so it's just picking it up anyway without specifying, which is great. Let's say transfer v. Oh, well, it already says transfer. Let's just put v. So we're sending the velocity over, and then we're going to rasterize this. So volume, rasterize attributes, and just rasterize the velocity. Okay, so attribute's going to be v, and then we'll see it. See, kind of velocity always kind of looks weird as a volume, but that's fine. You know, that's basically what we want. It doesn't, and these propellers, they are there. It's just that the values are negative, I think. So they're just invisible, but they are there. Well, we'll see. We can check them just to be sure. If we drop a volume slice, slice, just like we did before. Okay, and then drop a volume trail. Okay, and then this goes into the first input, and this into the second. And then I think if we visualize that, we should see it just by default there. Velocity, I guess that's picking it up by default, yeah. So there you go, we can see the trails for the velocity there. So if we come in here and we move the offset, you can kind of see it better. And then if I template the helicopter itself, you can see then we've got velocity all over it. Okay, from head to tail, and we can, I think we can make these a bit longer. Okay, so that's looking fine. So let's move that over. Oops. Let's just, if I press Alt, I can just kind of tidy this up. I'm putting this over to the side because it's not going into our main sim. And then I'm just going to merge this in with what we've got. All right, so plug that in there. And now we've got velocity going into our simulation. So we'll have to make sure that we source that in as well. So volume source, let's add another. It's just going to be a vector. Called v, and oops, vel. Okay, so that should have an effect. Let's take a look. I'm also, before we continue, going to animate this now, because as I said, I want it strong at the start and then to die down a little bit, so that initial kind of poof explosion at the beginning. So Alt click on that. Let me just turn off the simulation for a moment. Okay, and then I'm going to take it to frame 65, so just for about, how many frames is that? about 10 frames, 12 frames, would be really strong. And I will go down to, let's say 5, go down tenfold. Okay, so we'll start out at 50, drop down to 5 there. That's great. I also want to bring in some more temperature. I'm going to, I want this to be a really hot explosion. So that's fine. So let's see. Also, I noticed earlier, let's just turn this sim back on. Some kind of artifacts. So you can see that we're getting that initial swelling. Well, another thing we could do now, which will save substantial amounts of simulation time. You can see like a lot of this is underground, and obviously we'll be on the floor here. So if we just set Y to closed below 0, that will just essentially put a ground plane there, and we won't be simulating what's underground. Great. So I'm seeing a bit of a result from the velocity there now. You can see it kind of getting pushed back. Which is kind of hard to see with this lighting. Maybe we can turn the light a bit. If we come to the camera, just rotate it to the light, sorry. There we go, something like that. Again, this is just temporary for, as we're working on the sim. We'll do something much better later. We turn off this active region. I'm also going to maybe, you can see these kind of artifacts there. Maybe what we can try, if we come into the pyrosolver and then into this advanced tab, the resizing here, so that there's a padding around, this active region. So we could try push that up. Let's try going to 6, see how that looks. Okay, that's looking better still a bit there. Could also be solved with substeps. Let's just add another substep. What I'm also going to do, we could also visualize the actual helicopter as well as it comes in. So if we come back in here and turn on we'll ghost other objects, go into the camera, just to see how that kind of velocity is, make sure it's going in the right direction and everything, There we go. So you can see all the smoke is kind of being pulled along with the helicopter there. I might bring it down a bit. It looks like we've, I don't really see those artifacts now, which is great. Just with that substep, we might need to add more again. But I feel like the velocity is taking over that divergence, right? So I'm going to bring it down just maybe by half. And let's just quickly take a look at that. One thing that's also actually what I'm going to do before we continue is come into here and set up this temperature, because that could have quite a bit of an effect. So 3000 on, has a big effect on the kind of the buoyancy of the simulation. Right, let's just see that. There we go. That's looking better now. There's a nice kind of balance between the divergence pushing the smoke out and the actual helicopter pulling it across as well. Now, yes, it's still way too small, the scale for what I want eventually. But bear in mind, once we, start playing around with the fire, we'll add a lot of smoke coming from this, which will in turn, the flames will be adding more temperature, more expansion, and we'll be getting a big explosion as we move on.